Hey guys, it's Bree and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I am going to be going over the manga that I read in March 2021. This is my monthly manga wrap-up. Overall, for me, I felt like March was kind of a dry spell for my manga reading. I definitely did not read that much manga in this month, but I still do have a few different titles to talk about. In March, I also managed to unhaul a whole bunch of manga from my collection. I decided not to make a dedicated video to what I unhauled, but I will insert a picture of all of the manga that I actually unhauled. Quite a lot of it went to just friends, like I honestly just gave a lot of it away, and some of the volumes are going to end up being donated to my local thrift stores and used bookstores. So that is just what I do with my collection. There isn't really anything that I was giving up that was worth any value that I felt like was worth listing on eBay. I know some people, when they get rid of manga, they list everything online and they just sell it all online, but honestly, I feel like for the manga that I was unhauling this time, I preferred that it would go to someone who would read it, and if it goes to my friends, that's great, because then they can read the manga and let me know what they think of it. Anyways, let's jump into the manga that I read in March. Starting off, when I was doing my huge manga unhaul process, I had to go through my entire collection, which a significant portion of it is actually in boxes or in bags. So I don't usually get to see like portions of my collection, and some of those kind of get lost and some of my TBR gets lost in there too. But out of the boxes that I had to sort through, I managed to find my remaining volumes of Youre My Secret, which is a series that I have been collecting for quite a long time now. I usually pick up volumes at the local convention that I go to because they're usually really cheap, like around $5. But I was missing a really crucial volume to continue reading, so I had to wait until I got volume 3. And once I got volume 3, I just put it somewhere random and then kind of lost it for a bit. So finally in March, when I was doing my big clean out, I refound volume 3 and I finally read it, and I read the rest of the volumes that I currently own as well as the rest of the series. Youre My Secret is kind of this shoujo comedy where there is this main character, this guy who really likes this girl in his class, and she has a very abrasive personality, I guess. And her uncle, I think it's uncle or grandfather, he is an inventor and he invents this machine that ends up swapping their bodies. And then just, I guess, comedy ensues. This series is by Ai Morinaga, which is the same mangaka that did My Heavenly Hockey Club. I think that she really tends to do this kind of wacky humor shoujo that I really enjoy. So Youre My Secret was definitely a very wacky and fun read. It was just shenanigan after shenanigan kind of thing where these two characters had to adjust to living in each other's bodies. One particularly interesting thing about this series is that the main characters, it's not like Your Name where they kind of like fall in love with each other or something. They actually fall in love with other people when they're in each other's bodies. And it's like a very interesting story because I guess it was interesting to see them fall in love with someone who is technically, I guess, the same gender that they used to be, but now they're not that gender anymore, so they're falling in love with them with this new body. And yeah, it's pretty complicated, but very fun series, very short and sweet. There was 7 volumes published by Tokyo Pop when there's actually 8 volumes in the entire series. That the series never got a full physical print release, sadly, so you can't actually own all of the series. You can only own 1 through 7 published by Tokyo Pop, which I intend to do. I just haven't found volume 6 and 7 for reasonable prices yet, so I'm just holding out for that. But I did read the rest of the series because I really wanted to know how it ended, and it ended actually pretty much how I expected it to end, because it's like this satisfying kind of unsatisfying ending, I guess, where it's like, Ah, yes, finally, they're all together, and then it just cuts at the very end, which I was kind of sad about. But yeah, that is Youre My Secret. The next manga that I read in March was Laid Back Camp by Afro. So I had heard about Laid Back Camp or Euro Camp actually more through the figure community because the figures for this series are very, very popular. And I think the anime is pretty popular too. It's kind of like a chill slice of life anime about camping, about these high school girls who decide that they want to get more into camping. And overall, it is just a really relaxing and sweet read. It's funny because I am definitely not a fan of camping or the concept of camping, but this series is definitely making me question that and question if I would enjoy camping, because I think if I camped the way that these high schoolers did, I think I would really enjoy it. The main characters, Rin, who really likes camping on her own. She's a solo camper. She's very independent, but you can kind of tell that she kind of gets lonely sometimes. Introduced to this other girl who's Nadeshko, I think. Nadeshko is like really hyped to start camping. Like she wants to learn everything about the activity. She joins the camping club at her high school that Rin is not part of. And she's just so excited to get out there and get camping. And it's a sweet series. I read volumes 1 and 2. I definitely like how Rin and Nadeshko's friendship is developing. It is so sweet to see this very extroverted character and introverted character just kind of become friends. Yeah, really enjoyed this read. The next manga that I read in March was Donuts Under Crescent Moon by Shio Usui. My kind of manga New Year's resolution was to read a lot more Yuri manga, and now I feel like I'm actually living up to that because every wrap up it seems like I actually have Yuri manga in it now, which is awesome. I am so thankful that companies started publishing Yuri manga that wasn't just high school / dormitory drama romance manga. So in this manga, it's actually like an office romance. It features the main character. Her name is Hinako, and she's really into fashion and dressing up, and she looks really nice at work. And a lot of people don't really understand at her work why she isn't dating anyone, because she's just really pretty and like it. Everyone's like, well, you're so social, like you should be dating some guy. And she's like, I don't really want to. Not really into guys. But of course she can't say that because she's afraid of not fitting in, and of course in Japan, not being straight is a really big deal even still, so it is not easy to be open, especially in your workplace, about your sexuality or your preferences, or with your own family. It is very difficult. So she has a hard time grasping with that. However, she has like this superior at work who is very like cool, reserved type. Her name is Asahi. And they kind of share a moment together, and you can just see the development of their relationship, and this volume was so wonderful. I really enjoyed this read. I am so glad that I picked it up just on a whim because this one was super enjoyable. It didn't have all of that like drama romance that some of the other Yuri manga that I read last month did. It was definitely more of a sweeter, slower romance, and I loved it. Next, going on to the next Yuri manga that I read in March, apparently, which was How Do We Relationship. I actually just read volume 1 and 2 yesterday, and I really fell in love with it. I thought that it was a very sweet series. You have two girls who are in a band together, and they are just trying to figure out how they're going to be in a relationship together, because both of them kind of have their own complexes about being in a relationship with a woman and how it's viewed in society and how they should be acting. We have Miwa, who is a very shy and reserved girl. She's really beautiful though, so a lot of people like her and end up having a crush on her, but she doesn't like any of the guys who have a crush on her because she's into girls exclusively. And then we have Sayako, who is a very extroverted, outgoing girl. She's kind of tomboyish, I would say, and she's in a band, and she has Miwa join the band. I think they're in some sort of band club at their university, and yeah, it's just so interesting to see their dynamic develop because they have a lot of miscommunication within the first two volumes, and in some ways it's kind of frustrating because you're like, no, like you've already gone over this, like just talk it out. But I think that the thing that I really like about this series is that it is very straightforward with how it handles relationship troubles, especially for like university age relationships. So thinking about like sex and how the whole romance works, and also how complicated everyone's feelings can be. There is an arc where one of the characters is struggling really hard with jealousy. We also see other people either accept them or not really accept them. So yeah, overall, just a really fun read. I really like the art style. It's so cute, and I am so excited for more volumes of this to come out. It is definitely not like a slow pace Yuri manga. Like, I find that a lot of Yuri manga that gets published, it takes forever for the main characters to even be in a relationship, and this is not one of them. They are in a relationship right away, which I love. Moving on to the last manga that I am going to talk about in this wrap up, and it is Monster. Now, I actually just picked up volume 1 of Monster this month, so that is why I am finally reading it, even though I picked up some volumes back in December, I think. Yes, because this was just like completely out of stock everywhere. It was super hard to get volume 1 of Monster, and now it's super hard to get like volume 5, 6, 7, 8. Very unfortunate for me. But anyways, this is by Naoko Urasawa. Monster. I don't even know if I have to describe this to you guys because it is such a popular series. Everyone talks about it. Everyone talks about how it's such a good manga. And honestly, I have to agree. It's a really good manga. Like, if you're particularly into true crime or crime dramas, you would really love Monster. Monster follows the story of a very prolific surgeon who has to perform surgery, and previously he had performed surgery on this one very popular opera singer instead of going into surgery for I think he was just a laborer, and as a result the wife of the laborer whose husband had died because he didn't perform surgery on him comes up to him, and she's like, why didn't you operate on him? Like, he was here first, like he should have been the one operated on, not the opera singer. Which makes the main character kind of go into this troubled state where he's like, I should not value one person's life over another person's life. I should go for whoever needs me first and the most, so I'll do that. So when the mayor of the city, as well as a young boy, comes into their hospital, he is prepping to go into the surgery for the young boy, but then when the mayor is brought in, he refuses to switch over the patients because of the previous incident, so he operates on the boy. What he isn't aware of is that the boy was involved in this very complicated murder case where his entire family, except for his sister, had been murdered. And the boy that he saves grows up to become a serial killer. So it's kind of like this psychological thriller of past regrets and hunting down this serial killer that he feels like maybe he shouldn't have saved. So definitely a super interesting series. I really enjoyed this first volume. I also read volume 2. The series is definitely keeping me on my toes, and I can definitely see why a lot of people rave about this series. I hear that the anime is pretty good too. In fact, some people like the anime more than the manga, but in general, I just prefer reading manga over watching things because I can read a lot faster than I can watch. So I think I will just continue with the manga for now, but definitely let me know if you have read Monster or watched the anime. So that is all of the manga that I'm going to talk about for my March wrap-up. Let me know if you had read any of the manga that I showed in this video, or if you want to read it, or maybe let me know what you did read in March. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have a great day. Bye!